You ever wonder whether you're doing the right thing so it will actually build wealth? Because for many people, the issue isn't finding what to do, it's finding the right things to do. Looking rich and being rich are completely different things, and the wealthiest people that I know do not look wealthy at all. So today I'm sharing 6 habits that quietly wealthy people swear by that actually makes a difference that most people have no idea about. Starting with number 1, which is quietly wealthy people are motivated differently. You see, most people are motivated to make money to buy status, like how a peacock shows off its feathers, right? Most people want to be able to show off that they have money with a fancy Rolex, an Audi, or a $200 plain white t-shirt. But for quietly wealthy people, the motivation shifts from each dollar is a step closer to showing other people that have money to each dollar that I save or invest gets me a step closer to a life of freedom. Instead of working hard to find the best status symbol to spend their money on, they work hard to focus on increasing the gap between their income and their expenses for as long as possible. If they get raises or a bonus, they'll still try to live the same exact lifestyle until they reach a certain financial milestone where they can comfortably spend money, knowing that their money and their wealth grow faster than how much money they plan on spending. And it's not to say that they never spend money, because it's obvious that they do, but they try to get the gap between their income and their expenses as wide as possible for as long as possible. For example, let's say your income increases by $500 a month. Now, $100 of that might be going towards your choice bucket. These are things you choose to spend money on to make your life more comfortable, while the remaining $400 of that you reserve for your compound bucket, which is dedicated to building out your future wealth so that one day you can be like, you know what, screw it, I hate my job, I'm gonna quit, and I'm just gonna backpack Southeast Asia for 6 months because I financially can. By the way, if you want the money tracker that I just showed with you, I'll leave a link in the description down below. You can get it for free. It also comes with a free video tutorial on how to set it up. Next, they constantly run mental opportunity cost thought experiments. All right, so quietly wealthy people have this very annoying habit, according to my girlfriend. But hey, I think it's a very good habit to have, basically where they question everything that they spend money on. And I don't mean that they're cheap, okay? I mean that they try to make sure that their money is spent on the best things possible. For example, every time I'm about to make a big purchase, I'll ask myself, what else could I do with this money? Like 2 years ago, I moved into this apartment and I was looking to buy a new TV. And I found a new one that I wanted to buy, but it cost $1,300. But then I saw that Best Buy was selling the same exact one for $600. And the only difference was the Best Buy model was an open box model and the condition was like new, meaning someone probably just bought it and then they didn't like it and they returned it. So in my head, I'm running through like these mental math scenarios thinking, would I be better off spending the extra $700 for a brand new TV that no one touched? Or would I be better off investing that extra $700 in the stock market? Assuming a relatively conservative average annual growth rate of 7% over 10 years, that $700 would nearly double to $1,400, right? Enough to buy another brand new TV. So I went with the open box model because I didn't think the extra $700 was the best use of my money, especially when they both have the same exact warranty and they were the same exact TVs. It's all about optimizing your money instead of spending on things that don't really matter. Because quietly wealthy people understand that the real cost of something isn't just the price tag. The real cost is what you are giving up by not putting that money to work somewhere else. Next, they love to maximize their money. All right, so quietly wealthy people have this really weird obsession where they try to get the biggest bang for their buck on everything. In fact, a study of 10,000 millionaires found that 93% of them use coupons when shopping, which sounds crazy, but I see it all the time. Like some of my wealthiest friends, they love shopping at Costco, because who doesn't? But they're also the ones who will buy things in bulk because they're on sale, okay? They're the ones that will instantly check price comparison apps to make sure that they're not overpaying for whatever they're buying. They're the ones that physically mark on their calendars when their favorite brands have their end of season clearance sales. Most people think that looking for coupons and deals and stuff like that is beneath them, but quietly wealthy people know that every dollar saved is another dollar that they can invest to build out their wealth. And speaking of getting the most bang for their buck, one thing a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually earn money and rewards back every time you buy something, which is basically like getting an immediate discount on it. For example, I spend about $100 a month on gas, but because I pay for the gas with my Gemini Credit Card, I get $4 back in Bitcoin. So I effectively get $100 worth of gas for $96. I've been a long-term investor in Bitcoin and Ethereum for over 5 years now, and it's really great seeing Bitcoin grow from $20,000 to over $100,000 over the years. The great thing about the Bitcoin credit card is that it offers instant Bitcoin rewards on every purchase with no annual fee. So you get to instantly dollar cost average into Bitcoin for buying things you were gonna buy anyway. You get up to 4% back on gas, transit, and rideshare, 3% back on dining, 2% on groceries, and 1% on everything else. And you can use it anywhere MasterCard is accepted. If you're interested, to sign up for the card, head over to gemini.com/Vincent and get $200 in Bitcoin when you spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. Or you can click the link in the description where you can also see the rates and fees for more information. And thanks again to Gemini for sponsoring this video. Next, they always have a contingency framework. Quietly wealthy people are cautious planners. They don't just invest their money in the stock market, cross their fingers, and hope for the best. They set up mental frameworks way in advance so that if or when something bad does happen in the future, they have a plan to follow. I started doing this a year after I started investing, and it's an absolute game changer, all right? So for example, let's just say the stock market drops by 40% tomorrow. Most people naturally will get scared, right? They're gonna start to panic, and then they're gonna sell their investments to avoid seeing their portfolio continuously fall further. And while that does sound like a good idea, statistically speaking, it's the wrong move. Like if you're at a grocery store and you really need toilet paper, and then you see toilet paper suddenly becomes 40% cheaper, you're gonna buy more toilet paper. But when it comes to the stock market, most people would do the exact opposite, right? They're gonna buy less of something even though it's on discount, and it's because they're in a hot emotional state and it's hard to act logically. A quietly wealthy person will, however, turn to the framework and the rules that they established when they were level-headed, right, before the stock market dropped. Maybe they'll make some slight adjustments according to their plan, or maybe they'll sleep on it and then reevaluate the plan in the morning. Or maybe they'll start to instantly invest more money because the framework told them that the best time to invest is when others are panicking. The point is, quietly wealthy people hold off on making big decisions when they are emotional, and instead, they will default back to their framework that they established when they were in a more rational state of mind. I already made a bunch of videos on how to invest on this channel, but if you want to learn how to invest for beginners and what to invest in, check out this video. I break everything down step by step, and I'll also leave a link to it down below. Next, they prioritize brain health. And I'm not talking about waking up at 5 a.m. and running 6 miles and then going home and doing a cold plunge. Quietly wealthy people know that their cognitive ability, right, how they think and how they strategize, is the real moneymaker. And this is something that I struggled a lot with for a good chunk of time. I would always get these like super intense brain fogs in my head where it felt like it was impossible to focus on anything that required even a little bit of mental thought. Like there was this one time, it felt so hard to come up with a professional sounding email to someone who very obviously did not read my email. Hi John, there seems to be a miscommunication. Per my last email sent on March 3rd at 4 p.m., which I am also attaching down below, there lies the answer to your question. Now, obviously this is a very insignificant example, but you can see that how if you are not in a good headspace, then making even the smallest or silliest decisions, such as that email, right, it becomes harder to do. So imagine if a lot more money was on the line, like you're trying to buy a house, but you're not in the right headspace, or you're thinking of selling your investments, right? The more clearly that you can think, the better your decisions can be. And what helped me significantly reduce my brain fog is a lot of trial and error, because not every health advice out there is going to work for your individual body. For example, I don't need 8 hours of sleep, right? I operate better on 6 to 7 hours. I also went to the doctors to get some blood work done, and I found that I was deficient in certain vitamins. So I started taking vitamin D3, vitamin K2, magnesium glycinate, and all these things to help with my cognitive function. And it's gotten a lot better since then. Now, obviously, I'm not a doctor, so do your own research. Next, they obsess over their taxes, okay? So what most people do, right? They'll try really hard to increase their income, to make more money, or to cut their expenses. But quietly wealthy people care way more about cutting their taxes because they know it is the biggest expense of their life. And I realized this the first time I got my big boy paycheck in corporate America, and this video was exactly my reaction. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna make these numbers up to make it easier to follow. Let's say you make 50K a year before taxes, and you pay 10K of that in taxes, meaning your take-home pay is $40,000. But if you contribute $5,000 into a tax advantage account that is yours, then your taxes will drop from 10K to 9K because now your pre-tax total taxable income is now 45K instead of 50K, meaning you just saved $1,000 in taxes, and you still have access to that $5,000 just sitting there in your tax advantage account. Every contribution, tax deduction, or credit that you take advantage of and you implement with your finances is money back in your pocket that you can use to build wealth faster. Quietly wealthy people obsess over reducing their taxes, and it's a lot easier than you think. First, if you have a job with a 401k, max out your 401k. This is money that comes straight out of your paycheck before taxes even touch it. Second, get a Roth IRA. You basically pay taxes on the money now, but then it grows tax-free forever. Third, if you qualify for one, get a health savings account or HSA, which has triple tax advantages. You get a tax deduction when you put your money in there now, it grows tax-free, and you can pull money out of here tax-free for qualified medical expenses. Quietly wealthy people use all these tax strategies and more to keep more money in their pocket. And that leads me to something that you've got to start understanding. Many people think that if they want to achieve financial freedom, then they need to live like a frugal monk. But that isn't true. Click here to learn why and how I'm still very frugal without ever feeling deprived.